In this video, I'm going to talk about the simple present tense. We use the simple present tense for three main reasons. One, to talk about repeated actions. Think of a habit, a hobby, or a routine. For example, I work at the factory every day. This is a repeated action, something that is done every day, so in this example, the verb work is in the simple present tense. I walk to school all the time. Again, this is a repeated action, so walk is in the simple present tense. I buy groceries on Sundays. Buy is in the simple present tense because this is an action that is repeated every Sunday. We also use the simple present tense for general truths or facts. For example, the earth is round. The verb is in the simple present tense. The sun sets in the west. Sets is in the simple present tense. The third function of the simple present tense is to talk about something that is happening in the near future. I won't spend too much time on this one, because it's also correct and simpler to just use the future tense. For example, the train leaves in an hour. We're using leaves or the simple present tense of to leave in this example because this is something that will happen soon. It's in the near future. But we can also use the future tense and say, the train will leave in an hour. Both are correct. One important thing I want to mention is that the simple present tense is not used for an action that is happening right now. For an action happening right this instant, we would use the present progressive. With the present progressive, the verb ends in ing. Here's an example. I am recording this lecture right now. The word recording is in the present progressive tense because this is an action that is happening right this instant. Whenever we talk about verb tenses, like the simple present tense, we have to ask ourselves, okay, how do I conjugate this verb in the simple present tense so that it matches my subject? Remember, the subject is the person or thing doing the action. For example, I work at the factory every day. The action is work, and the person doing the work is I. That's our subject. In this sentence, the verb work is conjugated appropriately for the subject I. What if we replace I with she? Now we have to conjugate the verb differently. Our sentence becomes, she works at the factory every day. The verb work is conjugated so that 1, it's in the simple present tense, and 2, it matches our subject, she. It would be incorrect to say she work at the factory every day. There's a very handy table that we can refer to when we want to conjugate a verb in any tense. You can pause the video here to conjugate to work in the simple present tense for these subject pronouns. I work. You work. He, she, it works. We work. You work. They work. So for the simple present tense, the general rule of thumb is that the verb stays the same for all the subject pronouns, except for he, she, it, where the verb ends in s. Let's take a look at a different verb. Let's conjugate to do in the simple present tense for the following pronouns. I do. You do. He, she, it does with an s. We do. You do. They do. Again, it follows the same rule. The verb ends in s when we're using he, she, it. Let's try one more. Let's practice conjugating to have in the simple present tense. I have. You have. He, she, it has. We have. You have. They have. Let's do some practice questions. Our job is to conjugate the verb in red in the simple present tense so that it matches the subject. Amanda usually to take the dogs out for a walk. You can pause the video here to give it a try. So notice that we're saying usually, which means this is a repeated action, so the simple present tense makes sense in this sentence. We can say Amanda usually takes the dogs out for a walk. If we go back to our table, we can replace Amanda with she. As we know, for the simple present tense, the verb ends in s, so take becomes takes. Amanda usually takes the dogs out for a walk. Next question. People sometimes to hide things when they are scared. The correct answer is people sometimes hide things when they are scared. If we look back at the table, we can replace people with they. Remember, the verb ends in s only when the subject is he, she, it. For everything else, the verb stays the same. We don't need to add an s to the verb, so the sentence should read, people sometimes hide things when they are scared. Last one. He to have a lot of work to do on Tuesdays. Again, remember that for he, she, it, the verb ends in s. So the correct sentence is, he has a lot of work to do on Tuesdays. I did not talk about the verb to be because it is a special case. We'll look at this verb in the next video. Here is a summary of the lesson that you can download as a PDF in the description box below. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.